So I recently reread Empire of Silence by Christopher Ruggio, not really sure. And it's good. It's really, really good. This is a debut novel. And if I remember correctly, he wrote this when he was 18 and published it by the time he was 20. And guys, it is amazing. Now, if you've never heard of Empire of Silence or Sun Eater, this is a science fiction fantasy series set about 20 to 30,000 years in our distant future. And it's very much like, it's like Dune meets Name of the Wind. It's this first-person perspective novel about a very famous person recounting their life and how they became so famous. His name's Hadrian, and like the title says, he is a Sun Eater. So basically, this dude, the main character, has ended this very long, like 300-year war between mankind and this alien species known as the the Celsian, I think. And it's just wonderfully done. I've only read the first book, but the first book alone is so impressive. Some things that I really like about this book, number one, is like just how well written it is for a first book. I am not one of those people who reads fantasy or science fiction and needs very great prose. I'm not someone who's like, oh, I seek out like really good prose in fantasy. If your story is good, your story is good, and that's really all that matters to me at the end of the day. But I will say that Christopher here might have my favorite prose in like any book I've ever read. Like his word usage and the way he compares things, it gets so flowery at times, but it never feels overwhelming. The prose here is just brilliant, and it's so well written. Like I can't emphasize how well written this really is. Secondly, the main character, I think, is probably one of the just most nuanced first-person perspectives I've seen, because he is this deeply flawed character who is likely not entirely trustworthy, if we're being honest. And just the decisions he makes and the way he thinks is just really interesting to see. I'm really looking forward to his character development, because the man I see in this book does not seem like the man who could kill billions of lives and destroy a sun. It just doesn't seem like that. But, you know, obviously his character will develop. The world building here is excellent. You know, it's very Dune. It's very, this empire's taking over this galaxy. It's very like anti-thinking machines. There's a lot of religious subtext here that is obviously hinting at the writer's Catholic background. It's the chantry, but it very much feels like the Catholic Church. The world building here is just excellent. I also think that just the story itself that he tells in Empire of Silence is very good. I think a lot of people will go into this expecting a Red Rising and something with that kind of pacing. This is not a Red Rising. This is a slow burn, character-centric book where we really explore how Hadrian Marlowe is put into the setting he needs to be at to eventually become the man known as the Sun Eater, the half-mortal. This man who is bigger than a man, a living legend. And I think you have to have that in mind before you go into this book. Do not expect Red Rising. There are some, you know, intense scenes, but nothing that's like super, I wouldn't say action packed like Red Rising. Now, the future books, from what I hear, are very action packed and horrific and sad. This isn't quite there. There are some very deep, you just feel bad for the characters involved moments, but there was never any sense of like, oh, this is super action oriented. No, this is much more a slow burn, philosophical introspection and discussion of, universal politics, religion, what's my place in the universe, and just this exploration of what humanity might look like in 20,000 years. So if that sounds like your bag, I highly recommend Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio. It's very, very well written. The characters are really good. The action that does exist in this book is very well executed, but I think, honestly, you should read it more than anything for Hadrian himself, because he is a fascinating character to study. And again, not one of those dudes who will ever recommend a book because of its prose, but the prose here is exceptional and it's very well done. And the fact that this author managed to write this at like basically someone my age is very, very impressive, and it inspires me to want to write more. But just very, very well done science fiction, very well done debut novel. And I can't recommend it enough. I gave it like an 8.8 out of 10, and the reread, I gave it the same point, but it got better on a reread. And there were things that I missed on my first read, but this was really, really good. If you haven't read it yet, pick it up. It's not by a well-known author, so I'm recommending you basically someone you probably haven't heard from. But yeah, please read this.